welcome again to my channel. So because my last video about the unboxing of the iPad was so well loved, I thought a follow-up video was due. So this is gonna be a sort of how I've been using my iPad and what I think of it, so a review, and also how I use it sort of video. And I want to preface this video by saying, first of all, I have now had the iPad for a couple of weeks, so I want to say I'm at that stage where like I kind of get the gist of it, and I have a sort of like an idea of the apps that I use, and I have sort of a routine, I guess, of the things that I do with my iPad, the apps that I use, etc., and my favorites and how I use it, etc. But I do consider myself very much still a beginner because I've only had it for 2 weeks. So a lot of the things, well, not a lot, but probably some of the things that I'm gonna mention today, of again how I've been using it, my favorite apps or whatever, might change in the future because I've only had it for 2 weeks. So just keep that in mind. But I thought it would still be like interesting to share with you how I've been using it and how I've been making the most of it, I guess. Yes. And the other thing I'd like to mention is that I bought the iPad mainly for note-taking during class because I recently started university. That's the main reason why I decided to buy it. But actually I had been thinking, I've been wanting an iPad for quite some time, for some months. And then I started university and I was like, you know what, okay, let me go for it. But actually it wasn't a go for it kind of moment. I really thought about it because well, as you know, if you're here, it means that you're probably interested in me buying maybe in the future an iPad. So as you might know, Apple products are very expensive, and in this case it's not just the iPad, it's also the Apple Pencil that, in my opinion, and we're gonna get into it in a moment, in my opinion, if you get the iPad nowadays, like especially the newer iPads, the Apple Pencil is a must. Like, it's gonna help you really bring your use of the iPad to the next level, and it's gonna help you make the most of it. And so they are both very expensive, so it wasn't really okay, I'm gonna buy it. I really had to think it through, but in the end I think I made the right call. It was a good investment, and I have been loving my iPad. But again, no spoilers yet. And I'm gonna finish this introduction, I guess, this preface, by saying that although I did buy it for note-taking mainly, I've also been using it for work a lot because I do work from home. I do work on my computer, and recently I had to bring my computer in for assistance, and it was very convenient and very just good to have a backup device like my iPad. And so I've been using it for work as well. And yeah, again, I'm gonna get more into it and what I think of it and how it has been performing in a moment. So yeah, without further ado, I think let's get to the real part of the video. Okay, here it is, my little baby. So the other thing I'd like to mention before I show you, I think the first part of the video is gonna be a what's on my iPad, and then I'm gonna explain to you how I've been using the apps that you will see on here. But even before that, I'd like to say that if you search iPad videos on YouTube, like what's on my iPad kind of videos, you will see a lot of aesthetically pleasing iPads. And although I think that's great and I love to see that, I'm definitely not that kind of person. So you will not see, my iPad is not super aesthetic. I do try to make it a little bit aesthetic, a little pleasing to the eye, but that's not my main goal. My main goal is actually to make it as much as functional as possible. Because a lot of the times, to make it aesthetic, you need to download extra apps and to like change app icons and fonts and widgets and whatever. And in my opinion, and I don't mean this in any judgmental way, I don't mean this to judge anybody, absolutely, this is just my opinion, that's just kind of a waste of time and especially of storage. I have a 64 gigabyte iPad, and so that's not a lot, especially when you use a device. Like, I use this iPad also as a sort of computer, so a lot of the apps might be very heavy and I need it to perform well overall before I need it to be pretty. And so I'm a very like functional person, I guess, so my iPad is just like me, it needs to be as functional as possible and not as pretty as possible. That being said, doesn't mean that I don't care about it looking good, but I just wanted to make that preface. So let's start. Okay, so as we open it, let me turn it this way. This is getting in the way, okay. As we open it, this is my wallpaper, my screensaver. I have the Colosseum. If you don't know, I am from Italy. I'm from Rome, so not that that's the reason why, but also yes, that's the reason why. Okay, and then we're going to unbook it. So this is the main page. I have, as you can see, some widgets. I have the weather widgets. I have my calendar widget so that I know just my appointments, my events for the day. I have the Pinterest widget, which I love. It basically rotates images from a folder from your Pinterest. You can choose which folder, so I just created a new folder, and now I have all these images rotating, and they change every hour, but you can I think you can change it, you can tweak it and make it every, I don't remember, hourly or daily, I believe, I don't know. But anyway, yes, now I have Hyunjun. And I would say this page is the default apps page because I have all the default apps that come with the iPad itself. And right here, easily accessible, I have the ones that I use, I guess, more often. Whereas here I have two, I don't know what these are called, if they are called folders. Let me zoom in. Folders, I don't know, but I have two of these folders called useless and somewhat useful, depending on, and inside, I mean, there are apps depending on how useful they are, how often I guess I use them, but it's actually sort of almost the same, almost random. But yeah, so this is the main page, just default apps like photos, app store, voice memos, etc. My notes, very important, and I'm gonna get into why in a moment. Here I have Safari, messages and emails, and yeah, so this is, I guess, the main page. And then this is the second page. Here I have the background, like the wallpaper is Yeonjun again from TXT, and here I have all the downloaded apps. And as you can see, there are, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, social media. And these three I use for work. So WeChat, which is like a chat app that they use in China, and I use it for work. Zoom and Vob again. They are both for work, for meetings. And so yeah, this is my second page, I guess. Now onto the apps. Oh, the picture just changed. That's so satisfying. Onto the apps that I have, the apps that I use. So let's start with note taking. Like I said, my main use, I guess, right now for my iPad is note taking for school, and I have two apps on here that I use for note taking. One is Notes, the default app that comes with your iPad Notes, and the other one is Good Notes. Now, Good Notes is very, very famous. A lot of people, most people who have an iPad for university, for note-taking, they use Good Notes. And I will be the exception because I actually use Notes predominantly. I use this most of the time. I will show you, I created folders. I have, diary entries, but we don't care about that. We have university. And so far, because I've only had the iPad for 2 weeks, I only used it for English as the subject. And here I have all my notes, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So satisfying. I love that. And on GoodNotes, on the other hand, I do have some notes here in English again. This is my friend. I do have some notes, but this was like one of the first days. I was still playing around. Now, what I don't love about GoodNotes, at first it was the pen tip, and then I found out that I could change it. I don't even remember where here. At first I had the fountain pen style, but then I changed it to ball pen and I liked it better. But the actual reason why I don't like it is, as you can see, I write very tiny. I have a very tiny handwriting, and it's never very clear to me how much I am supposed to zoom in with GoodNotes. And so at first I was zooming in too much, and so when you zoom out, my handwriting is so tiny you can't even read it. And then here it's too big for me. I don't like it. And then here's my friend. And even if I liked taking, like, even if in the future I get used to taking notes on GoodNotes, I don't think it has much to add to the notes from the iPad. What I do really like, what definitely sold me on this, on the notes from the iPad, is the feature that now they have where you can choose grids and lines. I love that. If this wasn't a feature, I wouldn't have chosen notes from iPad. I would have gone with GoodNotes. But you know, they are very, very similar. And again, I don't need much to take notes. I just need a page with some lines and I will be able to take notes. So I don't see why I would have to buy, because GoodNotes has a free version, but you can only have 3 notebooks. But with notes, of course, it's like it's free. So I don't see why I would have to pay, even though it's very cheap. Right now, they are very, very similar to me. But I will let you know, I guess, if something changes in the future. So those are the 2 apps that I use for note-taking. Another use that I make out of GoodNotes is I use it to import documents, to then like read and as you can see, just underline, highlight some parts, blah blah blah. I use right now I use GoodNotes mostly for this, and I don't dislike it. It's not that amazing as I thought it would be. It looks very good, I will say that. It looks like real notebooks. Like, you can change the appearance based on your liking. They offer different designs that you can pick from, so that's really cool. But again, at the end of the day, I just need a page to take notes on. So okay, now I think that's pretty much it for note-taking. It's only 2 apps that I use. Like I said earlier, the other use that I make out of this iPad is for work. And like I mentioned earlier, these are the apps that I use for work, and especially right now that I don't have my computer, I have been using this every single day for work. If you don't know, I am an English tutor, English teacher, so I use Zoom and Bob for like meetings with my students, and WeChat for like chatting with them and with the other teachers. And again, I've been using it every single day, multiple times a day, sometimes for like 2 hours straight. It has been performing magically. It has been performing perfectly. I have had no issues so far. It obviously works a little different from my computer, and as someone who is very, very used to using a computer, and if you ask me, like, I will pick my computer over any other device, I swear by it. But once you get used to it, this performs very, very well for a device of this size. And yeah, I am very pleased, very satisfied with it. And I think that's pretty much it. I am not gonna get too much into my work and my job, because I don't think anybody's interested in that and there's no use. But yes, I have no complaints whatsoever. Now, the last thing that I do want to talk about is the Apple Pencil. So this little thing right here is magical. Like I said in the introduction of the video, I really do believe that if you're buying an iPad, you need the Apple Pencil because it's gonna elevate your use of it, and also just your approach to the iPad. It's gonna bring it to a completely different level. So first of all, this is so pleasing. Wow. As you can see, it snaps to the iPad because it has a magnet right there. So yeah, and as you saw right here, Bob, it shows you when you snap it to the iPad, it shows you the battery percentage, and you can charge it this way. So that's, there's pros and cons to that, but so far it's been going great, and the battery really does last a long time on this. And you can do most things with this. You can open apps, you can click and do this, you can write. Let me show you. You can write on here, like, okay, give me a second. I can, for example, look for best iPads, and I click, wait a minute, and here, and yeah, you can just then click on one, and my Wi-Fi might be a little bit slow, but there you go. And then like I said, I use this for note-taking a lot. I didn't think at first, I will be honest, at first I didn't think that I would use the iPad a lot for note-taking, or at least I was worried that even though I bought the iPad literally for this, I was kind of scared that I would prefer just, handwriting, like normal handwriting on paper, to this. But actually, I have been loving it, and I've been using it every single day, and I can write. This is so satisfying. I love it so much. And yeah, as you can see, I have a lot of notes. I write very tiny, so that's the reason why there's not a lot, but I did take a lot of notes. As you can see, it's well loved. It's well loved, and you can change color. You can change. Is it showing? No. Here, you can change color. You can change with a tap. You can change to the eraser. You can change to eraser, and then another tap back to pen. Okay, I did it 3 times. And then there's highlighter, there's pencil, and then what is this? Oh, if I write with this, it's gonna turn it into like type text. Sorry, I have the Korean keyboard on, I believe, yes. Okay, English, so yes. Stuff like that. So I have been using it every single time I use my iPad. I love it, and I'm very, very glad that I decided to buy this along with the iPad. And sorry, this way. Yeah, just in general, I recommend it 100%. You can obviously draw, you can do whatever you want. Oh shit. So yeah, you can use the Apple Pencil for a lot of things. I basically use it every single time that I need to write or type in something. I prefer to use that to my hands and the keyboard. So yeah, I think the point, what I'm trying to get to, is that this iPad is phenomenal. It has been performing great, and I can think of no complaints right now whatsoever. The size is perfect for me personally. Let me zoom out a little bit. Like the size of a book, so it's just perfect for me. It hasn't been uncomfortable. Let me also show you how sometimes I study and take notes, because you can just split your screen like this, open your notes, and just start note taking like that. I can read here if I have a PDF, or if I have a lesson, a video, whatever, and just take notes here. So blah 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 blah, and with my screen split. And yes, some people might say that with the iPad mini it can be a little bit uncomfortable because it's smaller. I guess because I've never had a bigger iPad, I cannot tell you whether it's better or worse. That makes sense, absolutely, but it hasn't been that uncomfortable so far. Like, it works for me, maybe because I have a tiny handwriting, I don't know. So yeah, overall I feel like this ends my video. Okay, so here we are at the outro. So I think there's not much left for me to say. The only thing is, as you will be able to tell, I love my iPad. I am very glad that I bought it. It has definitely improved my life, I guess, especially like my school and work life. Is it great? Yes. Is it pricey? Yes. So just keep that in mind. If you have the money and if you decide to invest in it and go for it, I would recommend it 100%. And again, I've only had it for 2 weeks, so my opinion might change, or I might have some trouble. Again, keep that in mind. But so far, again, I'm very satisfied and happy with it. And yeah, thank you so much for all your love on my previous video, and I hope you will like this video as well, and I will see you next time. Thank you.